So, I got this set of shelves from IKEA, and the one thing that I dislike the most about these shelves is um, that stuff falls all over the place, through the grates and also mostly on the back, scratches the wall or falls out the side, so you really can't put anything small in there. So, recently I had to buy a new bed from IKEA, and the slats that I had from the other bed, which wasn't an IKEA, had similar slats, the ones that bow to hold the mattress. So what I did was, I couldn't reuse the ones from the other brand because it was given to me, and free is not bad. So what I did was, I wanted something to. My new place does not have anywhere near the amount of counter space that my other place had. Or, I'm sorry, not cabinet space. Well, cabinet space, yeah. So, like, this is one of my old ones. And see, stuff can fall out and that kind of thing. So, one of my fixes was to buy this spice rack and a piece of plexiglass and use zip ties to, which the piece of plexiglass at Ace Hardware was like $12. And then I just used my Dremel to cut the holes and put that on there, and then just use the hooks to hold it in place. Now you have to be careful with the plexiglass, because if you put too much downward pressure on it that close, it can actually maybe separate or break the plexiglass, so you have to be careful. So anyway, this is what I had before, and of course I used one of those, which they were expensive, like really expensive, just to get those. And then that one, it came in a set of 2, I think. Anyway, so I decided I wanted something that I could put my Asian cook stuff with that wouldn't fall out the back, and that kind of thing. So I got some zip ties from, I think these are from the dollar store. I'm not sure, but they were literally not expensive at all. I swear they're from the dollar store. But you want to make sure that they're long enough. So this is what I got. They're the 11.1 inch, and there's 100 in there, and it can hold 50 pounds. So apparently there's a gun, which, oh well. But anyway, so the theory is that I measured from the middle of here, a little over the middle, to the middle, and then I just took like pilot holes. Now you got to be careful with this stuff, because it's very it doesn't like to be screwed with very much, and so if you don't do it right with your pilot holes, it'll shred, and it takes forever to kind of get it to not shred anymore. So you want to start with small holes, and I didn't measure the holes or anything. I just kind of put them in the general area, and it worked out. The good thing about those ties, and the one thing you want to make sure of, is that your tie points are not like flush. You want them to be like pushing into the wood, so it doesn't catch on anything or cut your bags or anything like that. So and in the back, I started off really driving myself insane by putting like 3 on each board, and that just got to be too crazy. So this is a little bit more complicated. So what I do is I put at least one, and you have to start from the bottom and put one on the front, and literally you have to kind of like, the thing is, what do you call it, pre-thread your back ones, because if you don't, it's really hard to kind of get it in through there if it's too tight. So I literally started off with like this, I'm sorry, I'm not a cameraman and I'm not trying to be. I was just trying to share this idea. And so literally when you pull it around, it doesn't matter so much in the back because this isn't going to be resting against anything. But you can do the back pretty much however is easier for you, but definitely pre-thread it from the front, at least one. Sorry, not Cheetos. Cheetos are not healthy, but they're good. Anyway, so definitely pre-do one of these in the front, and it'll make this a little bit easier. Now, if you're one of those people who look at an IKEA instruction and go, oh, screw that, I can't stand IKEA, I can't stand putting the instructions and all, then don't do this, because this is a little time intensive. And with the drills, if you do not drill the holes properly and slowly, a drill press is best, but you know, I did it freehand and it was fine. You just have to go slow, and definitely have a drill gun that has a cord. I know that's like ancient, but you know what? I tried doing it. Hold on a second. So what I originally did was I started off with a small drill bit, because if you start with a big one, it's going to rip this. It's very like fibrous, and it will start to tear. So I started with a small one. I went to the next size up that was more close to what I did, and then I started out using one of these, which was okay, but Harbor Freight, if you don't have a Harbor Freight, I'm sorry, but so Harbor Freight has this, and of course everything they have rusts, so I'm going to warn you right now. I got a set of these, which actually come like all these different sizes, and so you can use these to burr holes and do it more softly. Now, it's better before you take the burr to it if you actually take like a piece of rough sandpaper and like, you know, go over it a little bit to knock some of this loose. But I'll tell you what, it's so hard to find tools that have a cord, but I did my first 10 of these, and the battery on my Rigid ran out, and then the battery on my Black & Decker ran out, and so I did that, and of course it doesn't run out, and it has a better torque, and it worked better. But anyway, so and of course you can cut these with a saw. I happen to use a table saw. You can use a hacksaw, you can use whatever, but you definitely want to, if you use a hacksaw or something by hand, you're definitely going to want to sand it down. I tried using an electric sander on this fibrous wood. Did not work. It literally made it worse. So so I actually went to the paper and just went with the grain and only lightly went across the grain. Once I got some, you know, there's only a little bit left, I'd go across the grain. But the good thing about a table saw is it literally was quick, so there wasn't a lot of ripping. Whereas if you do it by hand, there's a lot of like constant slow ripping angle of your hand. But anyway, so yes, this is time consuming, but I really do like these wire things, shelves, when you don't have anything else, and so it doesn't look bad. And I mean, when it's against the wall, I can put up all sorts of stuff on it, like, well, there's my glutinous rice flour and marshmallows, whatever, you know, and then it won't fall anywhere. Now, they do make these things that stand up and make like a barrier to, it's kind of like this thing, but this is just heavy and it sits on top of it. It doesn't actually connect, so this whole thing will move. if you well, I tie wrapped it down. But that just sits on the top, so it slides all over the place. But of course, you know, you go to the Container Store and they want an arm and a leg for just one. So I may go and, who knows, maybe. Bad thing about having too much time on your hands, but this exact same size wood, you can build like a separator like this. I don't know how I would attach it. I mean, I could attach it on the bottom, but I don't know how on the top. And then the second level would be a little bit more floppy, but who knows. But anyway, so something like that might work. I mean, if I got two 90-degree angle things to hold it up, but that would just make the front kind of floppy. Anyway, so that's a different idea, but I'm kind of happy with this because it's going to do what I need it to do. The other thing is for these things, a lot of people don't like them because, like they say you can't put spices on them and stuff. So Easy Liner, who's owned by that company, that Walmart tape company, Duck. They make this kind of rigid plastic. Now, mind you, this is like 3 times the width of like wax paper, but it's really firm, and if you lay it on here, you know, stuff won't sink through. And that's one reason I didn't put my spices up here, because, you know, I didn't know about this. But the only problem is they know these shelves are 16 inches. 16 inches, right? So they only sell it in 12 and 24. So I wasn't having that, so I went on Amazon, and of course, if you want to buy it from China and wait 25 days, you can get it. But I'm going to put this down on here as well, just in case, you know, the flour goes through or whatever. And I started doing a lot of Japanese kind of mochi and experimentation. So anyway, so this is without, this is with. Now mind you, if you don't have these, you don't want to go buy a set of them just to be able to do that. But you can go to online, like Craigslist, and people are giving away, when they're moving out of Florida or wherever they're moving cross country, they're not going to take their IKEA stuff with them unless they have a lot of money to move, which doesn't make any sense, but you know, there you have it. And so they'll say giving away or bed slats available. And you definitely, if you get them from somebody else, you definitely want to clean them with bleach and soap and water. But you want to be careful about getting this too wet. I don't know what will happen to it, but it's a lot of the other IKEA furniture, if you get it wet, it falls apart. But I doubt that would happen to this. Anyway, so that's my project for making use of space. I could go higher, but it'll also block out some of the windows and stuff like that. So that's a no for that. Anyway, so I hope this is helpful for you guys, and remember to be safe and be careful, and remember, emotions are gifts you give yourself, and nobody can give them or take them away from you. Bye. Love y'all.